want to thank you all for coming. This is our monthly NAACP meeting. Want to make sure that the NAACP does its job in educating the community. Now we know education town hall meetings are being held all over the nation, all over the state of Florida, and we are fortunate. And for the record, I reached out to the superintendent. He didn't reach out to me. I reached out to him, as I have every superintendent that's been in office since I've been there. Now, there were some that didn't come, some that didn't answer, but that's not the case here as we sit. I wanted to make sure that, I've heard a lot of rumors, there's a lot of misinformation when it pertains to our schools, our community, and so I wanted you to, in case you didn't get a chance to go to the many redefining whatever town halls that they had across the county, you have an opportunity to hear from the superintendent himself. Dr. Holness is joined because he is certainly our representative for this area. He's my school board member, and I do not hesitate to call him directly if and when I have a concern, because I want to always make sure we have the facts. But we want to start this meeting decent and in order, and I will do that by asking the shepherd of this house, the pastor who's never said no to opening up to the community. He's all about the community. He's all about making sure that the community has a place to gather and that we have a place to get information. Pastor Green, if you will come forth and give our opening prayer, please, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the NAACP for coming and participating with us tonight. Thank you. I hope you all feel welcome in this place. And, of course, we all know the history, but we just know that there is no Fort Lauderdale without the work that this group does. And so we thank Sister Ellison. Go on, you put your hands together for that. We thank all of the officers and members of the Broward County NAACP. So if you'll just join me by standing very quickly. Father God, we invite your presence in this room. We know this is your house, God, but we gather for the purpose of the community, of shepherding over the community that you gave to us, God. We thank you for its leaders. Thank you for our school board leadership. We thank you for our NAACP leadership. As we gather here today, let us be on one accord. Let that accord be painted with progress. We ask you to bless the work of our hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay. And so, history. This church is the only church that when the NAACP was looking to form, needed a meeting place. This church was the only church in this area in 1945 that will allow the NAACP to meet. And we understand that the issue had to do with discrimination, with violence, and at any time, the church could have been destroyed by fire, it could have been bombed, it could have been lots of things. But apparently, they had some praying folk up in Mount Hermon AME, and they opened their doors to the Fort Lauderdale branch NAACP in August of 1945. We were the only branch out of 5 that was still standing in what was called the Annex, sworn in by the then minister. And when we come here, we say this is home because it truly is. And so I want to continue to make sure that we lift up and thank the work of Pastor Green. And I did see your dad. I was here for an event. I did tell him that we love you, Pastor, but I just love him a little bit more, okay, a little bit more, because he has always been with us and still is. He gave a very fiery speech the last time I actually have it recorded when he was here. And so with that, I want to take an opportunity to to welcome my and many others school board member, Jeff Holdness, who is always a phone call away. I also, so for those of you who may not know about our superintendent, that's what he's going to tell you. We're going to have a conversation. This is not a typical panel. We're going to have a conversation with the superintendent. I think our first vice president has, she has index cards. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. She will give you an index card. You can take one if you think of something later on. Please do that. I think Michelle over there needs one for sure. And so we are going to put your question on the index card. We're going to read the questions. We're not going to debate back and forth, and we are going to be very respectful. But we're going to get the information that we're asking. This is a church. This is holy ground for us, and we'll govern yourselves accordingly. And we want to make sure that we get the information, but we do it in a very respectful way. So please feel free, jot down your questions, and then we will make sure that it get answered, make sure it's something pertinent to what we're talking about. If it's something that's, in DC, then that doesn't make sense at all. But here, we want to make sure that we get questions answered. And I want to, I'm going to start with Dr. Holder simply because your vote is where the buck stops when it comes to this building as we're sitting here now. So Doc does his thing, and then he takes it to the board, and then you all vote it up or down or that sort of thing. So just give us an opening 2 minutes on you and your role as our school board member.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is really a joy to see the community coming out, and thank you, Madam President Ellison. And I think Madam President Ellison deserves a round of applause for the work that she's been doing. So if we could give her a round of applause. And it's also an honor to sit here with Superintendent Dr. Hepburn to be able to provide answers to any of your questions. I am Jeff Holness. I was elected in 2022, re-elected in 2024, representing the District 5. The cities included in my district would be Fort Lauderdale, Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes, Sunrise, Plantation, parts of Oakland Park, and parts of Tamarack. So regarding your question, Madam President, what our role as a school board member and school board members is that we set policies. We also approve the budget that the superintendent and his staff presents to us. And we have 3 direct reports. The superintendent is one of the direct reports that report to the school board. There are 9 of us, and we have also the general counsel that reports to us, and we have our chief auditor. As far as other roles that we have besides setting policy, hiring the superintendent, we also engage the community as board members to understand what your concerns are, and we listen to your concerns, we listen to your input, we factor all of that into our decision-making process, and then from there we also listen to each other. So when we have board meetings, we gather information, we also listen to the input of our colleagues, the other board members, and then we come to a decision. The School Board of Broward County is not only an education institution, but it is a business. The budget is over $5 billion, and the responsibility of making sure that budget is properly spent is on 9 school board members and their direct reports. So, Madam President, I am honored that the residents have put their faith in me to lead the district. When I ran for re-election, I was able to successfully win 100% of the precincts on my re-election. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that the community has put their confidence in me, and I wake up every day in an effort not to let you down. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. And to Dr. Hepburn, so we have Cartwright, she's gone, then we have Lakota, and then suddenly you're here, I'm meeting with you, and you're like the number 2 guy, and all of a sudden you're the superintendent. So tell us about who Dr. Hepburn is.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and thanks for facilitating this too. It's hard to say no to you when you call or when you give me because I know where your passion lies. And Pastor Green, thanks for the hospitality as well. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself and who I am, and you'll understand my passion and my resolve as an educator and how I ignore a lot of noise to make sure we do our best for our kids. So I actually grew up just the county north of here in Palm Beach County, in western Palm Beach County in Belle Glade, Florida, out in the Glades. We fondly call it the Muck City and all of that. It's a town built off of agriculture. I would say people from the deep south and the Caribbean, mostly Jamaican and Haitian and Bahamian, all mashed up in one place, doing amazing things, working hard just to make sure their kids can have a better life. And that was certainly my parents also. And it was educators, right? It took a village, and it took a lot of people. I grew up in a town where your bus driver would give you a whooping before you get in the house because you cut up in school. They heard about it first, and you got a whooping from the bus driver, and then you got a whooping from your neighbor, and by the time your mama got home, that was the third one. And sometimes your mama was too tired to whoop you, so they knew you already got it twice already. So, so I had we are known for sports, especially football. They put out a lot of great athletes. The opportunities I had were both athletic and also academic. Most of the athletic scholarships I got was in cold places, not warm places. So I chose to take advantage of the academic scholarships and warmer places, and I ended up at UCF in Orlando. Went through UCF, became a teacher in Central Florida at Apopka High School for most of my teaching career up in the northwest part of Orange County. Eventually became a dean, coaching football and various other sports, assistant principal, and then eventually principal of one of the historic high schools in Orlando, downtown Edgewater High School, doing amazing work, just continuing to scale out my impact for kids. And I had a lot of mentors along the way that helped me understand the type of impact I could have on kids, and just continuing to build my resolve and just pour into my passion. Eventually came back home to, I think my mom prayed very hard when I told her, hey, I got a phone call, got some opportunities over there in Palm Beach County. I think she's a faithful and godly woman. I think she prayed very hard for her son to come back home. So eventually came back home to Palm Beach County, worked in Palm Beach County for probably about 9 to 10 years in various district roles, instructional superintendent and all kind of other things. And we did amazing work in Palm Beach County. Actually, one of my first assignments was supporting all the schools in my hometown in Belle Glade, and you got Pahokee, South Bay, and then go out a little bit east to Wellington and all those areas. And we changed lives, we changed those schools. And then I started supporting the schools in the southern part, which is more of Lake Worth all the way to Boca, which is, from the people fresh to the country to the most affluent people in the area. And we did amazing things there. And then came with Dr. Licata to Broward County Public Schools to try and replicate that same work here. Education and being an educator is a hard job, no matter what role you play, a teacher, a custodian, a bus driver, principal supervisor, all the way up to superintendent. We're dealing with people all day, and it's our job to ensure that the people that we support, as far as myself as superintendent and supporting staff, are doing great things and great work for kids so they can have the best outcome possible. I am a firm believer that for most kids, the only lever they can pull to change their life is a quality education. There's not a big bag of money, and is it? I don't see big bag of money falling out of the sky for everybody. Taking advantage and providing a high quality education where students have opportunities, where we can actually help them excel and live out their dreams, be it if it's going to college, hopping into high-paying careers, doing whatever they want. That is my purpose on this planet, to ensure that our kids have those type of opportunities so they can change their lives, change their trajectories. And that's me. That's my passion.
So, Doc, let me ask you this. Tell us about the climate when you came, because I know we were trying to work with Dr. Licata, and since we're going to be talking about closing schools. The second time I actually met with him, at our office, we were discussing closing schools. There were more schools on the list, and Norfolk was one of those. They were discussing like MLK, and they were discussing Walker. So tell us about the climate of the district um, that led to the decision of having to close, redefine, repurpose the schools.
So I'll tell you about two climates that I walked into. That'll be the second one. The first one is coming in, and the district is kind of in disarray. There's been a lot of change before Dr. Licata and myself got here. Multiple superintendents, investigations going on, aggressive print media, printing all kind of things. You know, I'm up in Palm Beach County, I'm reading about all the things that are going on in Broward County. And so I think that took the focus and priority off of kids, right? It did. When I walked in, we had about 12, 13 DNF schools. You know, academics was very average, you know, hovering around mid-B area. And so, but there were some amazing people who were in our classrooms and leading some of our schools. The climate around closing schools, here's the reality, and we're still dealing with this today. Over the past 10 years, we've lost over 40,000 students. That equates to over $350 million over the past 10 years. In the past 5 years, we've lost about 23,000 students. It's about $250 million. Over the past year, we've lost 10,000 students, over $90 million. This is not unique to Broward County. If you listen to national news or statewide news, you have Miami-Dade. Even Palm Beach County is about to start talking about closing schools. Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Duval County, Volusia County, Little Old Indian River County. And that's just in the state of Florida. Outside of the state of Florida, the Philadelphias, the Chicagos of the world, Atlanta, everybody's closing schools because folks are leaving large urban areas. There's a lot of variables that contribute to this. Number one, affordability. How many of you could afford a house today if you had to buy a brand new house in Broward County? I know I can't. So you have folks who live here and say, you know what, I may take advantage of selling my house, making some money, and going off to another area in Florida that I can go buy that house for cash. And so the people who are moving here with the type of money that can buy those houses, most of them don't have kids. I drive through downtown there all the time. I see a lot of baby carriages being pushed, but when I look at them, they're dogs, not kids. And I know y'all see it too. So the birth rate has declined. We have people that are leaving large urban areas for areas where they can afford to live. School choice is real. It's not about charter schools anymore. We pay attention to our charter school numbers too. Our charter schools have declined the past 2 years. Kids aren't leaving our system to go to charter schools. But the voucher system has opened up, you know, wide. It's not just isolated to kids in so-called failing schools. Anybody can apply for a voucher and use those funds to either homeschool or go to private school. And then just as recent this year is the rhetoric around immigration policies. And that's caused people to go in hiding and some people just to leave the area. So you compound all of that, it caused us to lose over 10,000 kids in 1 year. On average, the district's been losing about 3,000 to 4,000 kids. The situation starting 10 years ago has not been dealt with at all. If you live in a house, and let's say it was a 3, 4, 5 bedroom house, and over the years your kids have grown up, they've left your house, still got to pay AC for that house, water bill for that house, utilities, insurance, all of those things for those houses. Most people, and it's very hard to do that today, but most people back in the day say, oh, I'm about to downsize. I don't need all this space anymore. It's not economical. I'm spending a lot of money on space that I don't use anymore. We're kind of in that same realm. We have a lot of under-enrolled schools. We spend more money if it's a small school, and I love small schools too. It's a little bit more intimate. You know all the kids, but when the school wasn't built to be small, if it was built for 1,000 kids and there's only 200, 300, 400 kids in there, we're spending more money on operating the school than on instruction for the kids. We still have to maintain the building. We still have to pay all the utilities. We still have to, pay the insurance for the building and all of that. And so it's never been addressed over the past 10 years. And so unfortunately, we're at that juncture where we have to address it. It's not economically sound to have so many under-enrolled schools. So we won't do that in our own personal situation. So in a business, as far as Dr. Holmes mentioned, we are a business too. We will not survive because we are not garnering the revenue. Every kid in our buildings and sitting in our seats, we get $9,000 for. When we don't get the kids, we don't get the money. And we've lost $350 million over the past years because we don't have those kids anymore. We can't pay for all the services and the maintenance for those buildings. So hence the consolidation that we have to do to ensure that we remain solvent and stable in the future. If we don't make those tough decisions now, it's going to be hard for the district to remain financially stable, and then somebody else will come in and do it for us.
So, one of your schools was saved, Dr. Holmes. How were you able to get your colleagues to vote to at least allow Sunrise to step up and save that school?
Thank you, thank you, Madam President. So, Madam President, I just want to make a couple of comments on what the superintendent mentioned, and then I'm going to talk about beer. So, what I can tell you too, as far as Dr. Hepburn, when he came on board, and we've had many meetings. I meet with Dr. Hepburn formally once every month, and then we have a bunch of other small conversations and meetings throughout. And one of the things that he has done differently that we have not done in the past is that he supported and formed the Student Transformation Office, which is that's in addition to the 3 regional offices that we have, which is in North, Central, and South. Now, the Student Transformation Office, what that has done is allow all of our schools that are low performing to be under that office, and attention and focus are given to those schools. And Dr. Hepburn, I believe that's a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So now most of those schools are schools that historically may have performance concerns. So we look into how we can provide added resources for those schools. A lot of those schools are in my district as well. I believe majority of them. And we look at how we can add additional instructional coaching, instructional support for those schools, and many of those schools improve as a result. In District 5, a lot of our C schools, in fact, we had 26 or 27 C or D schools, and now we reversed that, and I believe the STO office is one of the reasons. We reversed that, Madam President, to now we have 26 A and B schools. So within 2 years, we flipped that. And so in addition to that, as Dr. Hepburn mentioned, that when he came on board, we had multiple D's and F schools. Most of those D's and F schools were in my district. We had, in my district, 5 D's and 2 F schools. The only 2 F schools in the entire county was in District 5. Now, because of the measures that have been taken by Dr. Hepburn, and a lot of this has to do with a lot of conversations too that we've had and that he's had with his staff and the STO office, we now have no D's and no F schools in District 5 for 2 consecutive years, and that deserves a round of applause. You know, and there are other concerns that we're having in Broward County schools as far as our financial situation. But we also have positives. We have made significant strides in academics. We as a board and the superintendent, we are addressing the issue that faces us financially, Madam President, and that's why we're making some changes. That's why we have to look at closing some schools. That's why we have to look at saving in different areas that I'm sure you're going to talk about later on as far as recently the graduation venues. But, and lastly, the superintendent mentioned that we are funded per pupil of about $9,000. We are almost, if not at the bottom of funding in the country. The state of Florida is $5,000 below the average funding per pupil of the United States. New York City fund their students over $30,000 per student. In Broward County, we are asked to do the same thing on $9,000. So and in doing so, we're still making significant strides academically. So, Madam President, I am grateful that the superintendent has taken the lead and has done a lot of things. So regarding Bear Middle School, as far as closing any school, I understand the need to close schools, and I have supported closing some of the schools, even in my district and across the county. But Bear was different. For me, when we're talking about closing schools, number one, we have to have a very good reason for closing the school. And number two, we have to have exhausted all viable options for that school. And if we do close the school, we must have options that are in place that will benefit the community, that will get community input, and that over long term will support the community. So regarding Bear, although it is under-enrolled like all of the other schools that we're closing, Bear, we did not have, and I did not feel we had exhausted all viable options to keep it open. For example, with Bear Middle School, the City of Sunrise has elected to occupy some of the empty seat space that we have at Bear. So that would take some of the empty seats off of the books. That would increase the enrollment as it relates to capacity of the school. Secondly, I've met with the elementary school that's next door to Bear, and Bear is a Montessori, and we've had discussion, Madam President, of Montessori, and Horizon Elementary, whose principal is Mr. Smith, is willing and is excited about having a Montessori at Horizon Elementary that would be a feeder into Bear Middle School. So now you have that smooth transition from Horizon to Bear, and we feel that by doing so, we will be able to attract students from charter and private schools that would increase the enrollment. In addition to that, I express concern that if we close Bear, and the only other middle school in that area is West Pine Middle. So if we move all the students from Bear to West Pine is going to be at full occupancy. So if we do gain even a small number of students, it would be very challenging having somewhere to put those students. So I believe that it is important with Bear specifically that its situation is completely different, that warrants keeping it open, because what we're doing will increase enrollment. The City of Sunrise will take some of the empty seats off our books, and we'll have opportunity for growth.
And so, Mr. Superintendent, why then are we, why you believe, or the board voted for your staff recommendation to close the school that's local here for Norfolk Elementary as opposed to any others?
So we've looked at all of our schools as we do, and we're looking at them right now for the upcoming school year. We have projection numbers from the state already, and we have our trends. Norfolk is one of those schools that continues to be under-enrolled. We looked at other viable options to see if we can increase enrollment. We have a great demographer team, and what they do, they consult with the county, they consult with the state, they consult with the business leaders who sometimes are recruited to come down and see how many employees and how many families. Unfortunately, in the surrounding area, there's not a lot of families moving in, and the people who are in the area aren't selling their homes, right? They're not leaving, so you have almost like a zero birth rate. You don't have and it's a simple trend for us. We look at how many kindergartners and first graders are coming in, right? If you have young kids that are not coming in, you can't sustain. You have a large fifth grade class and they leave, but everything under it is just steadily going down. By the time that kindergarten class becomes a fifth grade, you've pretty much cut the enrollment in half. So you can simply look at the trend of any of our schools if you look at the kindergarten and first grade class. So Norfolk was one of those. We were looking at it last year, and I know we were looking at it when Dr. Licata was here. And so we put that on the docket to make a recommendation to close it. I know we've received some proposals for the site that we'll have a workshop with the board in March for those people who sent proposals, so the board can hear from those folks and make some future decisions of how we utilize that site. So we'll wait for directions from the board after that workshop to see, like Dr. Holness says, one of the things for me too, and same with Dr. Holness said, that the school site, be it if it's the physical school that's there or that site, it has to service the community in some way. right? It just can't be. I've been in, gone to some cities, and they will close a school, and it just sits there and rot, right? They do nothing with it. They don't sell the land. They just let it sit there, and it looks like a zombie movie. And but we have to ensure that any school that we take off of our books is actually used for some purpose for the community, be it if it's a recreational center, if it's a family center, if it's affordable housing, whatever that case may be, it has to serve the community in somehow, some way. And Madam Chairman, if I may, because Dr. Holden started rattling off some accomplishments, I want to take the opportunity to talk about some of the amazing things that we've done. He mentioned back-to-back A's. Last year was the first time the district was an A in over a decade. I think the last time was 2011. No DNF schools for the second time in a year. We were one of the few districts across the state last year to have no DNF schools, and that was the first time ever since 1999, since the state actually started its accountability system of grading schools. The only other large district in the state now that has no DNFs is actually Palm Beach County, and that's because I mess with Mike Burke, the superintendent, all the time, and have some friendly wagers with him. It's like, Mike, you're not as good as us. So he took me up on it and pushed his team to do the same. And then also we had some exciting graduation news that came out from the state last week. For the first time in 25 years, we're over 90% overall, 91.4%. And that includes all the schools, including charter and the schools that we run. People forget that charter schools are actually part of Broward County Public Schools. They just actually have their own individual boards, and they have autonomy to operate the way they want to. But we do have some responsibilities to make sure security and doing audits to make sure they're being fiscally responsible. Now, when you back out to charter schools, our district-operated schools are 97.5% graduation rate. That means only 2.5% on average of our kids in high school are not graduating on time. We still ensure that they graduate. Some graduate in the fall, right? Some graduate late in the summer. So our goal is always 100%, but the state has a cutoff in mid-June for official graduation rate. We have about 7 schools that have a 100% graduation rate. 36 out of 36 traditional high schools all have a graduation rate over 90%. 31 of the 36 have a graduation rate of 95%. That means kids are leaving our system with great outcomes, with more opportunities to go off to college, to go into high-paying careers, to have choices. That's how important graduation from school is. So those are huge accomplishments for our teachers, our staff, our bus drivers, our custodians, people up in the cubicles at the district office. Everybody matters to make this work. So that definitely deserves a round of applause.
So you answered the other question, Doc, because I think one of the critics said, the state says you're only, 92, 91 point, something like that, and then then the superintendent said it was like a higher number. So where you getting those numbers? So I'm glad that you were able to clear that up.
What we do, the schools that we run and operate is 97.5%. When you add in charter schools, it goes down to 91.4%. Now, I'm not picking on charters, but
The facts are the facts.
Yes, the facts are the facts. We do a great job.
Okay, and so speaking of graduation, so you got this group that's going to be at the gyms. Dillard actually is a fabulous
Yes,
facility.
It's huge, Jim. Probably the biggest one.
And I've been there
biggest in the state.
recently. And then you have another group who's going to do Nova, and I think you got 2 groups
At Hard Rock.
at Hard Rock. And then you have critics that say the white folks are the ones that's getting the creme de la creme, and why don't you spend the money on all of the graduation? Can you tell us approximately how much the district spent on graduation venues, say last year or
Yeah.
year before?
Last year, we spent over $880,000 on graduation venues last year. And about 3 or 4 years ago, it was half that price. It's doubled. For instance, per graduation, not the whole day, per graduation at Nova Southeastern is $28,000. Per graduation at Hard Rock is actually $50,000. And so as some of the cost-saving measures that we went over with the board in October, among some other things, graduation venues was one of them, because we will have a class of 500 students graduating in Nova, and they're just charging this astronomical amount of money. I've actually met with the president, the COO, to try and get it down. They brought it down a couple of $1,000s, but the cost is just continuing to rise. The convention center, of course, had done their renovations and added the Omni. Is higher than Hard Rock, and so we have venues here in our own district that we can leverage, because most of our graduating classes are actually around 550 or below, and Dillard High School can hold 2,500 guests. We're not even counting the kids, because the kids would be on the floor in the gym. And I remind people, like, Nova is actually a gym. It holds probably about 3,000, 3,300 guests, but most of our schools are 550 student graduation, and the district standard is to guarantee 4 minimum tickets. Depending on the venue, depending on the size of the graduation class, the administrators make a determination of how many extra tickets, if there are extra tickets, and all people don't bring four families, so they always have extra tickets. So it's either spend $28,000 per ceremony at Nova, or spend $3,000 per ceremony at Dillard, which the $3,000 for us will be our own staff, hiring custodians for overtime, hiring security specialists for overtime, the AV equipment, and also hiring police officers just to do the detail around the perimeter of the campus. So significantly cheaper, significant cost savings. It's the same pageantry they would get. I've looked at the videos when they had graduations in Dillard during the COVID era, and I would say it rivals what we would see at Nova, because we have full control. Essentially, we're just renting the box at Nova. They're not giving us anything extra. We're bringing our own decorations, and the schools bring their unique things for the colors of their school, and it will be the same pomp and circumstance and pageantry at Dillard or at Pompano High School, which Pompano High School already has their graduation in their own gym anyway, and Blanche Ely's gym is similar to Pompano High School's gym. So if you're a class of, I think it was up to 550 students, you will be at Dillard. If you're a class of up to, I want to say about 375, 400, you're at Pompano or Blanche Ely. And then the schools, we can't accommodate schools with a class of over 600 and something students, because the facility can't hold everybody. It's dangerous. We'll violate fire marshal rules if we do that. So we have to use Nova for those schools. Cypress Bay has a class of over 1,000 graduating students, because they're a school with over 5,000 kids. So they graduate almost 1,100 students a year. Nova can't even accommodate that. And so that's why we have to use Hard Rock for that too. And Western is also a super large graduating class, and that's why we have to utilize Hard Rock for those. And if we had the problem, and like I told the board, I think that was yesterday or whenever the meeting was, is that in Palm Beach County, everybody graduates in one facility. That's the fairgrounds. They have an expo center, and it can fit every high school from the largest to the smallest. In Orange County, in Orlando, when I was up there, we used 2 facilities. We used the Amway Arena. I think they changed the name, but it's where the Magic plays, and they use UCF's basketball arena. But those 2 entities work with the district. They're not trying to make money off the district, right? In many cases, it's almost free. But here in Broward, as we talk to these facility owners, we're competing against all the tourists, all the other events that they have, and so we're just money to them, just like any other entity that will come to rent the facility. So they don't do us any favors. And maybe in the future, through another redefining phase, we can build our own event center and host our own graduations and rent that out to people to kind of pay for it over time too. But it's not cost effective to continue to spend money in the rising costs for these venues. It'll be a different story if they charge us $28,000 for a whole day, but when you charge us $28,000 per ceremony, and on a Saturday you have 3 ceremonies, that's almost $90,000. Right? It's almost $90,000, almost $100,000 just for one day of renting a venue for 3 graduations in that day. And they know we're a public entity. They know we're a public school district, but and that's where we are. It's about cost savings, but it's also leveraging our facilities and giving the students the same experience. And we try to show a video so that the public can see
Burrows, do you have the questions, the cards? And so, Dr. Holness, when you saw the amount that the district would be forced to pay if we went the traditional routes with these other places, what were your thoughts? And was that the role that played when you had to make the final decision to move forward with the current plan or look at something different?
Well, for the record, I am one of 5 school board members who voted to uphold the superintendent's recommendation that we use alternative facilities to save money. In October, we as a board directed the superintendent to find cost-saving measures in all areas of the district. Because of the loss in student enrollment, we have deep financial concerns. So the superintendent, we did not take anything off the books. We included graduation venues as far as cost savings, among many other things, Madam President. And the superintendent brought back his recommendation. And when he brought back his recommendation, and we are able to have a graduation with a comparable facility for $3,000 versus $50,000 or $28,000, it makes a lot of financial sense. And this is not a disrespect or disregard for students. This is actually quite the opposite. This is making sure we are functioning fiscally responsible so we can provide resources and programs and for our students to be able to succeed. With losing so many students, this district, Dr. Hepburn, is how many $1 million in the red?
Right now, we have a budget shortfall of over 90 million. And to add to that, we've lost 3,600 students just the first semester alone, right? People are we have our principals do exit interviews when families are withdrawing. And most of the families that are withdrawing right now are just simply leaving the area. They're not going to charter, they're not taking advantage of vouchers, they're just simply leaving the area. That 3,600 equates to over $30 million.
Right.
So.
And here's the thing. It could never be responsible of a school board, knowing that we're over $90 million in the red, to pay almost $1 million for graduation when we have facilities that can accommodate our students, beautiful facilities. So this is really not against students. This is actually quite the opposite. This is for students, so we can have enough cost savings to support our students. And I'll mention another point, and if anyone was watching the board meeting, there are also some legal concerns should a board get involved with operations. And I did ask those questions to our general counsel. We can direct the superintendent to go back and find cost savings, but we cannot get involved with operations. If we start to tell the superintendent what venues to use, where to find them, and so on and so forth, we are getting involved with operations, which is violating state statutes. That was clarified at the last board meeting by our legal counsel. So as a board, we also have to be careful, and I understand there are community concerns, but the board has to be careful how it navigates and how it directs the superintendent to not interfere with the day-to-day operation of the district. But what I can tell you, the decision that the superintendent has made and the recommendation he brought to us, Madam President, I thought that was being fiscally responsible. I thought that that was a good move in ensuring that this district is saving. And if we don't start to save today, we may not be able to save ourselves tomorrow. Because when we get into a financial crisis, the state intervenes. We are trying as a responsible board to avoid those things. And in the future, we may be in a better position where we can have graduations at different places, but now is not the time. And so I support the superintendent. I was one of the 5 board members to do so.
So the first question is, can a school that was voted to close at the school board at yesterday's meeting be reconsidered to possibly stay open? Superintendent?
Yeah, so yes, it can be reconsidered, but I think reconsidering such a move, it puts families in disarray in it's been less than 24 hours literally, and we met with principals around like 3 o'clock. We met with the principals, all impacted principals today about all the schools that were closed and the communication to start working with parents and transitioning their students. We take a lot of care when we do things like this because we know it has an impact on kids, it has an impact on communities, it has an impact on families. Nobody wants their schools closed. That's the first thing, but I think a lot of people are starting to understand why we have to make these decisions, and some people through the meetings throughout the fall, and especially the last workshop we had in December, started bracing for it and started embracing it and knowing it's a reality, and started, because we had some parents start visiting the schools that they expect their kids to start going to. So we already started that transition, actually starting today. But yes, the decision can be reversed.
Next question is from our own Judge Williams. Are you aware that the school board, and this is long, so let me read it, supplies a school board liaison in all 4 juvenile delinquency courtrooms? These courtroom liaisons are instrumental in, number 1, preventing the next school shooter. Number 2, reconnecting dropouts or students with prior school attendance issues with the school system. They're also being the voice for your school board members, the principals, etc. They have to be subpoenaed to our courtrooms. Question is, will you continue to supply the courtroom liaisons in your budget?
Yes, I am familiar with them. I've actually met a few, and yes, those are those are essential services to give kids a better chance. I don't like to use the word second chance. I like to use a better chance. Right, the first chance may not have been the best for you, but these are essential services to make sure our students have a better chance. Like I said, my passion is around kids. Every kid should have the best outcome possible. They're going to make mistakes, right? And it's up to us to give them a better chance at life. So yeah, those are essential services that won't be cut.
Next question is, why is Dillard High getting paid less to host 2026 graduations?
Well, it's not about getting paid less. It's the cost. When you use, let's use Nova as an example. They charge, roughly around like $28,000 to use their facilities. We don't control how they charge us. They're passing on the charges that they have to pay their security staff, the police that they contract out, their utility costs, their typical rent for their venue. And so for us utilizing Dillard, it's about, because they're our own employees, and so some employees are on the clock. Those who are not on the clock, say on the weekend or in the evening, they're getting overtime. So we're paying overtime to our own school police officers, our own custodians, our own security specialists, and our school police officers only have jurisdiction on our property. So for outside of our property, we have to contract out whatever local municipality it is, if it's Fort Lauderdale PD or BSO. So it's about the cost that we incur, but we're not giving them less because it's our facility and it's our employees that we're paying to work the event.
So are you giving them Dillard money, or are you paying for staffing and your own people to do?
No, Dillard is gonna get like new AV equipment, and we're gonna dress the facility up. So Dillard's gonna get taken care of. When you have the opportunity to host something, we go in, we do our assessment and see what's needed in the facility, and we equip that facility, and they get to keep all of that. But as far as the people who are working it, we are paying our people to work it.
So no matter what school our kids graduate from, when they're using Dillard facility, their diploma is gonna say whatever school
Yes,
they're
correct.
attending.
Correct.
And my little balloon's gonna be the color of the balloons,
Correct.
all the decorations.
You won't
Okay.
you won't even know you're at Dillard High School because it's going to be dressed up for graduation for that specific school. Just like at Nova Southeastern, right? You know you're at Nova when you're in their facilities because they keep their flags up, but the schools bring their own flowers that are the color of their schools and their banners and all of that stuff. So it's the same thing.
What supports are available for students transitioning from out-of-school state systems.
that are coming to us from out of state.
Yes.
We have tons of support. It just depends on the manner of the support. We have tons of mental health support from our mental health teams. We have tons of family support if families are in need and need some support and just the simplicity of raising their kids. We have academic support, additional tutoring, counseling on campus for academics. We don't lack support when it comes to students and families because it's just not about the kids. We actually provide support for families too. So, if a family is coming in and not getting that support, I get those emails too, right? And so I ensure that we follow up. We have a good system. And that's a great question because it's going to help me segue into something that we've implemented too. One of the things that I hold tight to is also customer service and follow through. And when I came in as deputy, I go to schools. You know, I was new to Broward. People didn't know me. I would go to a school. I'll take my ID off. I'll take my tie off, and I'll just go in and act like I'm a guest. I didn't get treated well at many of the schools I went to. It didn't matter what part of town. And I was like, okay, we got a customer service issue. So we started creating an initiative around customer service, having schools put up QR codes because many of the parents, if you're a parent of a current student, you're used to getting that annual survey around this time or late spring to fill out. Say, no, when I go shopping or when I go to a restaurant, I immediately get a text or email saying, how was your experience? How was your experience? Right? And it said people need to be able to tell us about their experience right then and there. So we created a customer service initiative where schools have QR codes in their front office. And then when somebody's emailing you from our district, be it at a school or a department, there's a QR code in their signature. And that provides the opportunity for you to scan that to provide based on their customer service, to provide some input about your experience. And so we actually send that to our chiefs and our cabinet. I think we just started sending it to the board recently in a dashboard so they can see what customer service looks like in all of our schools and all of our departments to continue to improve. Is it 100% there? No, but there's accountability to continue to move in that direction because customer service is essential. So when people aren't getting that customer service, be it if they're trying to transition from out of the state or transitioning from school to school or just simply trying to get help from their current school, we want to make sure people are held accountable to do that. But we have tons of services, family support services, student support services, mental health, academics, we have it all.
Where would a person go to find out if I'm moving from out of state? Because I know the district has resources, but if I don't know how to find them, then that's not helpful. How will we find it?
You can simply go to our website and go to the parent section, and there's a section there for new enrollees. You can simply call any school, right, and they'll walk you through it too. I wouldn't tell somebody to come to our district office, but you can come to our district office too, and then we'll figure out what the need is and address it.
Yeah, we were on one of our, as you know, I serve on the diversity committee. I can say that one of our members who happens to be an employee of the district called one of the schools to find out about enrollment, and they were not treated very nicely. So yes, I would agree that the district has a
And that's real.
issue.
And I acknowledge that it's real. So that's why we put that QR code up. And I often pop up at schools to see if they're trying to hide that QR code. And then what I did when we first rolled it out, I said,
Well,
all
now
right.
where is this supposed to be? Because I've been to a lot of
I
schools.
know.
I ain't seen
and
no
then,
QR
and then
code.
what I did, I had the print shop print out like 11 by 14s. I say send 2 to every school. Send the email. It needs to be prominently displayed. So if you don't see it, let me know.
I can give you a list because I haven't seen one yet. But okay.
And I cold call schools myself too and
Okay.
act like somebody else.
What are some summer school resources available for students, and how is that determined?
Yeah, so summer school isn't the summer school we grew up on. It's very scaled down. It's focused on intervention and remediation. So there are state-required summer school for students who have not passed reading courses or having literacy issues, and that's usually focused on 3rd grade. And it's also focused on our ESC students. By law, we have to offer them summer school too. So it's a very scaled-down version than what some people are used to when you were kids, when summer school was wild and bustling, because we don't get funding we get minimal funding for summer school specifically for those reasons, to support literacy or to support our ESC students. During the COVID era, we got a lot of money for summer school. That's why you saw larger summer schools for those few years to help kids catch up, because they were either, they shut down, or we were in a hybrid situation and there was a lot of learning loss. But summer school is not funded like the regular school year. It's very scaled down. We do try to work with outside providers that do camps on our campuses, and that's city by city. It's not at every school. Some of them are free, courtesy of the camp or the city, and some of them are a small fee. And so that's what summer school is today. It's mostly for remedial purposes when it's offered by us.
How is Broward County Public Schools working to ensure that fair access to contracts for minority-owned businesses and to include black-owned media? How is that?
That is huge. You know who holds us accountable the most for that? The man sitting to my right. Every board meeting, and I don't care what item it is, he will ask how many NWBEs were a part of this. And even, I remember the board meeting yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yes. There was an NWBE contractor, but that contractor got the least amount of the work. And so we've done a better job in hiring people in the we call it the EDDC office, doing more outreach. They work with our partnership division, and they have I forgot what Eric calls it, but it's like a partnership event where we invite those vendors in, and the procurement staff, the partnership staff, help them register and learn how to do business, get through the red tape, let them understand what type of needs that we have. Because sometimes the barrier for many small businesses is they just don't know how to go through our bureaucracy. And we got a lot of bureaucracy as a government entity. And so I actually go to those events and greet those vendors. And so some of the cities have been grateful in letting us use their libraries and all of that to host those events. We have partners that'll serve food, but it's a whole setup to educate small businesses on how to do business with Broward County. We are open for business. We have a ton of work, and just helping them understand how to get through the red tape. And sometimes that's the barrier. It's like, I didn't check one little box, but in our policies or procedures of state law, we can't follow through in doing business with you. Sometimes it's that simple, one little small step. And so we intentionally try to work with more small businesses and minority-owned businesses to be able to do work with us. So that's something that we pay attention to. And the person I've hired a new director in procurement recently, and that person wholeheartedly is working on that effort with our EDDC department. And we're being more intentional, thanks about the wholeness, and making sure we list it in the items that come to the board so they're aware of how many companies, how much work they're receiving. But the work is wide open. If you got a small business, we want you to work with us, and we want the local businesses. We want the small businesses, because guess what? You're more accountable than these big, giant corporations that, just like y'all, when y'all call it a giant corporation, you're on the phone for 20 minutes waiting on somebody to pick up the phone. It's the same thing for us, too. And they'll give us the runaround. So we prefer working with small businesses than local businesses.
So I just want to say on the basis of small minority businesses doing business with Broward County Schools, Dr. Hepburn is right. Sometimes they might think I'm a pain, but every time we have contracts at majority of the board meetings, I question why we don't have enough minority businesses given these contracts. And in fact, I had the staff make sure they put on the financial analysis sheet, when they're listing the businesses that get the contracts, which one of these are MWBE business, minority, women, blacks, Hispanics, and now they start to list them. And thank you, Dr. Hepburn, because it wasn't there before. And at the last board meeting, they had 6 companies that got contracts for, I think it was pumps and motors, and the minority business had the least amount, which was 300% less than the second to the last, and about 900% less than the top. And I question that, and I continue to question that. And another thing that I hold them accountable, and the superintendent and the staff, is is basically to make sure that small businesses get paid early. If they wait 5, 6 months to get paid, they can't function that way. They will go out of business, and it will deter other minority businesses from wanting to apply and go through the process because they don't have enough revenues and money to wait 6 months to get paid. So I believe the superintendent has worked diligently on that, and that has improved significantly, and there's still room for improvement.
That was a real issue I walked into because as soon as I hit the ground, people saying, "Hey, I haven't gotten paid in 6 months. I haven't gotten paid in 2 years." I'm like, "What?" And just there's one thing of having just inherently having natural bureaucracy because we are a government entity, but when you have people in the organization that add additional red tape, because that's what we found, you got people, doing manual processes and adding additional steps, using that to justify, their job. It's like, no, you're causing me to want to get rid of you because you're like Dr. Holden said, a business can't afford to wait 6 months to get paid. They got to go take out a loan just to make the business continue to grow. And so we've gotten better at that, but that was a huge issue that we walked into with accounts payable and getting businesses their money on time.
This person is asking about parking at Dillard and other high school gyms. If you're saying, is it equipped to handle, if you had 1,500 vehicles or whatever, how are you going to handle the parking that's the other vehicles that are coming in?
Yes, I don't know if folks have been to Dillard's gym parking lot.
Yeah, Dillard and the
It
other
is-
Ely and Pompano High. They want to do all the gyms.
Dillard's definitely is huge. We can accommodate all the parking. We've assessed all of that. Same with Pompano. We've assessed all. I've been to Pompano's graduation myself several times, and Pompano graduates about 400 kids a year, high school, and no problems with the parking. At Pompano High, you have that additional parking lot by the administrative center near their auditorium, and the same with Blanche Ely. We're going to accommodate the parking, and we've assessed all of that with the parking and those needs before we finalize those decisions.
Why was the insurance brokerage company changed?
We have to go out and do new solicitations and find better services for better prices. When we go out and we change vendors by going out for new solicitations, and that just means we go out for a competitive process to find new vendors that are going to either give us better service or at least the same service but at better prices. If we keep renewing the same vendors over and over, we're getting the same service and also the same price that's not competitive. And so those are one of the things that we're doing better is the whole let's automatically renew, let's automatically renew, let's automatically renew. We're losing money doing that. When we go out and we put out a solicitation and give people opportunity to compete for our money and provide better services, the district and its students win. We save money. In that situation, we're saving money on a new contract because the previous contract it is a certain level of service, but we're paying in the same amount. In this contract, we're getting better service and at a lower amount.
This is a long question, but I need a quick answer. Can you tell us about the Schools of Hope? What are the requirements to become one? How will it work? And who's responsible for the overhead? And the last one is very important. Who's responsible for the overhead on the Schools of Hope?
Absolutely. So the state has their specific criteria of how a charter school system becomes a school of hope. I don't particularly know all the intricacies. There's only, I think, 5 or 6 approved School of Hope operators, Success Academy, KIPP, and we've only gotten letters from like 3. But I don't understand all the particulars of how they become a qualified School of Hope, but there's only, out of all the charter school systems in the state, there's only about 5 or 6. Schools of Hope, the legislation allows them to co-locate on an under-enrolled campus, or co-locate on an under-enrolled campus in an opportunity area, right? We are sitting in an opportunity area, so that is actually a federal thing with what's designated as an opportunity area in the United States of America. And so they have opportunities to co-locate on under-enrolled campuses that have been traditionally low performing. The state created metrics for low performance. Remind you that we don't have any D or F schools for the past 2 years, and we're a school district. So what they did, they actually found one little small metric and says, if you've had this small metric within the past 5 years, your school is labeled as low performing, hence giving an opportunity for a School of Hope to apply and co-locate. And so we probably got about 30 or so letters for probably about 10 or more schools in the district. The overhead, so they can come and co-locate on our campus. They don't have to pay utilities. They don't have to pay any facilities costs, custodial costs. You're sharing the cafeteria with the kids. You don't have to pay the extra overtime that the food service workers are going to need. You don't have to pay extra money for security to man your side of the campus. You don't have to pay costs for SROs. They give us a little small fraction of money from the state for capital issues, like if there's a facility issue or whatnot, but for the majority of the expense, we're paying for it. So it's like Burger King moving into McDonald's, right? And serving, it's exactly what it is. And Burger King isn't giving McDonald's any money, but they're using their fryers and their grills and serving Whoppers. And so that's as easy as I can describe it to you with the School of Hope thing. And so, yeah.
The question is, well, so when Schools of Hope co-locate, we still get stuck paying the facilities, all the
Yes.
things that we didn't have
Yes,
the
we
money
pay
to
for
do in the
everything.
first place.
We pay for
Is that how it goes? And that's state legislated, that's not saying Broward,
No,
you know.
that's state legislation.
This must be Ely Tiger here, because somebody said, you mentioned that Dillard was gonna get the hookup with all the stuff. Is Ely High Auditorium gonna get the upgrades and any overdue maintenance or that
Yeah,
hookup
so
basically, and
we're-
also Pompano?
Yeah, so Mr. Dorsett and his team is evaluating all the facilities and addressing any needs that we may have to ensure that those graduation ceremonies are top-notch, be it if it's AV equipment, paint, whatever the case may be. So if Ely's in a situation where they need AV equipment, they'll get that upgrade too.
And do you
I
have,
think I know where that came from.
is there a list of you have other things that you are proposing to save money as this is an emergency? So this
Yes,
is,
there's tons of things. Right now we have a hiring freeze, so we're not bringing in new employees because we would eventually have to let them go because we continue to lose students. So we have a hiring freeze, and if a school has a instructional opening, I'm requiring district personnel to go out and fill those voids. So we've probably staffed about 40 or 50 district personnel in the schools this past week. We're utilizing attrition also, so we have quite a few number of people that leave our system voluntarily, resign or retire, and so we're not filling those positions too. We have to downsize. I forgot to mention that we have to downsize personnel. One of the things that y'all can't see this chart. So there's a line on this chart that's doing this. That's student enrollment. There's bar graphs on the bottom. If it was a line, it would be like this. Those are our employees. Our employee or personnel has not decreased over the past 10 years, but student enrollment has done this. And so we're not getting the same amount of money in the bank, but we have the same bills. 81% of our budget is actually people, personnel. And so we're going to be downsizing. It's not going to impact schools. Schools are always impacted with student enrollment anyway. If you don't get the students, the school doesn't need the teachers. That's just a natural thing that happens at schools. So I will be downsizing at the district office, starting with executive directors and directors and going down the ranks to get us back into what matches our student enrollment, because that's never been done. So that's one thing that'll be coming up too, to save money. Again, we just closed some schools too. We're also working on healthcare expense issues too. Our healthcare costs alone this year has gone up $88 million. And so we're working on that to find better options to get the same level of service and medication to people, but in a more reasonably priced feel any kind of way, but we're getting ready with healthcare also.
And can you speak to what the district believes, how much, approximately how much, or how the charter school initiative is, it changes, it's easier to get in, they don't have to answer anybody. How has that hurt us when it comes to dollars?
Charter schools hurt the district early on, about 10 years ago, right? It's about 85, 87 charter schools in Broward County, and so school choice is real. And I'm a big supporter of school choice. And I'm gonna tell you why. If we can't provide the service that your child needs, you need to be able to go find an entity that can. That level of choice creates competition. If there is no competition in business, you don't see the other business innovate and offer better opportunities. If there is no Burger King, McDonald's will never evolve with its menu, right? If there is no Domino's competing against Pizza Hut, you won't get all the other crazy stuff they come up with, right? That competition causes that. Charter schools and choice causes us to be competitive and causes our teams to innovate and evolve. We cannot do the same thing for kids that we did 20 years ago, right? And so we continue to innovate. We continue to offer better opportunities and evolve and go out and discover and meet with our business leaders to find out what their industry needs are and continue to evolve and offer great things and great solutions to kids. Charter schools within the past 3 or 4 years is not a problem for us. They're actually declining in enrollment too. The issue, like I said, for declining enrollment in most large urban systems like Broward County ourselves is affordability, and also families that want to utilize vouchers to either take advantage of private school or do homeschooling. But charter schools have gone down for us. That must be a good movie.
So we know, now this is the NAACP saying this. This ain't
Yeah.
Dr. Hepburn saying this. That DeSantis and his administration long ago declared war on public schools. Now, this is us saying this, ain't Dr. Hepburn saying this. We know that last week he's thrown out the possibility of a takeover. Can you tell us what conditions have to exist in order for the state to take
Yep.
over?
Yeah,
our schools?
we're far from that. I think the governor was pretty much talking in generalities, but we are way far from what they call receivership. The situation that equates to receivership if you are in severe financial straits, and we're not in like a 5-alarm fire financial strait. And I think he was talking in generalities when he was prompted with that question when he was here and talking about several school districts. But we're far off from a so-called state takeover. The state has never taken over a school district in the county. And even if you have severe academic problems as a school district.
Well, some things happened in Jefferson County a while back. Some things happened up there, but they had some failing schools.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like if you have severe academic problems, like district-wide, they may come in and send people in, right? But they're not going to take over the entire district. They're going to come in and tell you what you need to do with your schools, right? Oh, you need to close this school, or you need to let this charter school come in and run this school. And so those are the things that we're used to in the state of Florida. But we're not nowhere near what they call receivership to be able to be taken over.
And so when the state comes in and they, do what they do, is there a plan for the district to ensure that the parents, educators, and other organizations such as the NAACP are kept informed
Yes.
and are included in and they're considered for decision-making process as well?
Yes, absolutely. One thing we did invite, because we know it's coming down here, so we invited the CFO and the governor to come down for what they call Dogen. We're familiar with that with the county. And, we sent a letter welcoming the collaboration. Our team has identified a lot of bad past practices that haven't been taken care of. We're a huge organization. There's a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of effectiveness, especially on the operational side. and we continue to find all that stuff till this day. Just practices that were ineffective 10 years ago and just never been checked and never been addressed. And so we wrote a letter to the CFO, hey, come on down, take a look. If you find something, great, we welcome the feedback so we can figure out how to fix it even quicker, right? So we welcome any additional technical support to find those type of things. So we're looking at it as a partnership. If they do come down here and go through some of our financial systems and looking at some of the inefficiencies so we can correct them.
And as a follow-up, would you be open to reviewing procurement and advertising policies with the business community to make sure the process is transparent, inclusive, and accessible to firms that may not have large national footprints but do have deep community reach and credibility?
Yes, absolutely. Our procurement and contracting process is a definite challenge. Again, one of those things about bad practices that hasn't been corrected over time. We have some large solicitations coming up, and one of the things I'm doing, I have a new person in procurement that's overseeing things, and I've also hired an outside consultant to come in and help facilitate processes due to their level of expertise, so they can help build capacity of the people in-house who, probably some of them no fault of their own, and if they haven't been trained, they haven't had their capacity built, and they kept doing things over and over the same way over time, and it's not necessarily the right way. So that's one of the challenges, bringing in outside entities with expertise, helping to facilitate and guide the process while building capacity of people in-house. And also just, sometimes you have to let some people go who are intentionally not doing the right thing. And so it's some of that recipe too. And we're trying to make sure that moving forward, our process, especially for large procurement items, that it's transparent, that these contracts do involve opportunities for local firms. I'm a firm believer that local firms should get the majority of the funds. Again, you can hold them accountable better, but it also churns the economy because those local firms are hiring people who are next door neighbors and people in our backyards and up the street, right? So the money stays here. And so we have a large procurement coming back to the board for our facilities and construction projects, and there'll be a workshop actually next month in March, and it's going to be focused on how do we do this better, how do we make it transparent, how do we ensure that local firms are part of that process, right? So we don't box out local firms, because I truly believe when you're spending $100 million over 3 or 5 years, it's the local people, local firms that need to have the majority of that money, so it churns in our economy and not going off to big corporations and outside the area. Unfortunately, the last process was not done correctly, and I had to bring it to the board to reject all bids, and that is twofold: to protect the district when I bring something to tell the board, hey, I need y'all to reject this. After further review and with the chief auditor's help, it wasn't done up to par. And then it's also protect the board, so I'm not putting them in a position to make a decision, and then later on we find out it's not right. And so that'll be coming back. Unfortunately, I had to do an emergency declaration to get the work done, and I had to go with the company that we've been with for the last few years just to maintain continuity and continue to work, but that's short term. And so our hopes is we start this process in February and we end it no later than June, so we can get the new firms in-house, give them 2 months of transition, and then we can get this work done. The biggest shocker for me coming to Broward County, and it's still a shocker for me because it makes me livid, is the conditions of our facilities. The work has not been done over 10 years for many schools, and we need to get our facilities up to par. Some of our buildings we need to just simply tear down and build new replacement schools. When we talk about future consolidations, my hopes for future consolidation, I know Dr. Holdness and I talked about this briefly, my hopes is that we tear down some of these old schools. If we're talking about closing schools and consolidating, we're building larger state-of-the-art replacement schools so that our kids are in state-of-the-art facilities.
When you say local, Doc, do you mean Broward, or are you talking about West Palm Beach?
Broward.
Because I think the question is that you seem to imply that perhaps there's an affinity for West Palm Beach folks, because that's where And how will you let publicly know, let people know about the workshops or whatever this, when this process happens?
Yeah, we try to post, and we need to do a better job of posting it on social media also, to make sure everybody knows. I know a lot of people don't pay attention to board agendas and all of that, so we just need to make sure we get it out there so people can either tune in online to those workshops or actually come in person.
And this didn't start with you, and I used to tell Mr. Runcie this all the time. I don't know if you have a PI person or people, they are terrible.
Yeah.
They are terrible,
Yeah.
and they seem not to get any better. You know, so there's got to be something. There's got to be
Yeah.
somebody
And then,
that can do a better job of getting the information out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we need to ask y'all, how do y'all want the information? Because I know everybody doesn't pay attention to Broward County Public Schools social media. So maybe it's another avenue. Maybe it's your local city or whatever the case may be. So sometimes we just need to find out from the public, how do you want the information? Because sometimes we think we're sending it out, and it's like, no, I haven't seen that, I haven't heard that. So you just need to ask the question sometimes, how do you want to get that information?
Okay. And then you are sending out, are you addressing for the black media that's in Broward? Do y'all have a list, or how does that work to make
Yeah,
sure that the black media is getting?
The comms teams has a list of every media outlet. We put out a lot of pressers, and what a presser is pretty much a news break article telling what's going on. And I have them give me reports and who they send them to, and so they have the emails of all the local print newspapers, the news, all of that. And so from mid-December to the report I got on Monday, we've sent out probably about 20 pressers. So it's up to the local media to actually print and post it. So we send the information, but it's up to them to actually post it and utilize it.
So you're asking everybody, those are the free ones, the press
Yeah.
releases are the free, you're
Yeah.
asking everybody. Quick question, will the work continue with everything that's going on at Parkway? Because I understand it was funded, it was started, and all the stuff happened. Will the work continue at Parkway?
Yes, we're
And are you still on pretty much the same
yes,
schedule?
we're slated to meet completion at the same completion date, which I think was 2027, I want to say.
Yeah.
December 2027.
And you did not, Michelle, before you leave, we were in a meeting the other day, so you did not, the board did not vote to accept either of the 4 proposals for Norfolk Elementary School, is that correct?
That's correct. The board vote yesterday was about boundaries. So inherently, when you change a boundary, when you say, let's use North Fork as an example, the boundary change for North Fork was to Thurgood Marshall and other schools, I think Walker, several schools. So when you change the boundary, you're changing the boundary from the kids' ability to go to North Fork. So you're technically closing North Fork. The board did not vote on any proposals for North Fork at that board meeting. That was simply for boundary changes, which inherently just closes schools because you're not allowing kids to go to those schools based on the boundary change. The proposals that we've received for North Fork, we've received 4 thus far. I think Dr. Wanza mentioned she received a verbal one, but they haven't sent one written. We're going to have a workshop in March to allow those people who sent those proposals to us to present to the board, so the board can ask questions, they can provide a presentation, be it if it's a PowerPoint or whatnot, and discuss it with the board, and then the board will give us direction for next steps of what they want to see or do at Norfolk. So that'll be in March.
And finally, Doc, I know that we've talked about Norfolk. One of the things that we talked about also is there are good things happening at the schools. I don't know about Crescent because I don't live over that way, but I can say that there's good stuff really coming up for Thurgood that nobody's talking about, and had we not been in the meeting, we would not have known. There's the property at Walker, I'm glad that was not on the list, and MOK, but the district, and y'all here, so y'all the district, is not informing the community about the things that are happening at those schools. So why would I want to send my kid to those schools, or I'm worried about you just closing the school and send them anyway? Why not talk about the programs, the schools, and what's really happening, the good things that are happening at those schools, as opposed to making it seem like you're just sending them places?
No, that's actually good feedback. I know starting this week and next week, we already have what we call a run-up show of the information that's going to be pushed out to communities and parents of those impacted schools about the specific programs for kids that are going to be received at Thurgood Marshall and Walker and all of that. And so I'll talk to the team to find out how we're pushing it out, how we're getting it out. Like I said, I think a better question for us, and probably working with our cities, because I don't know how we get a wide breadth of people to give us feedback of how best do you receive your information, right? How do you want to receive it? Because our avenue of sending out information, number one, social media, number two, sending out press release, which we call presses that I talked about, and send that to every news outlet, be it print media, TV media, and it's up to them to actually post it. But if there's another way that parents and community members are receiving information and want to stand and know, we need to know about that so we can make sure we're pushing it through that channel too.
And so Thurgood in particular is going to, I know the kids are going to go there, but it's going to concentrate, I think it's like pre-K, almost, birth to.
Birth all the way up.
And that is amazing for our schools, and a way to not to close it, but to enhance it. Doc, you want to give a quick closing?
Yes, so I just want to thank everyone for being here, and Madam President, I also want to mention that just a quick comment on the North Fork issue. Initially, we had one proposal, and I proceeded to encourage that we receive more proposals. I've had communication with the superintendent as well regarding getting more proposals for North Fork. And what I didn't like about the initial proposal was, for one, they were looking at close to $0 lease for the property. Secondly, it didn't have adequate community input. And thirdly, it did not have adequate surrounding community programs. So I said, any kind of proposals that we're going to receive for North Fork, number one, it must have significant community input, and that's why, Madam President, we had that meeting. And number two, it must have community programs that benefit the immediate community. And we're not doing $0 leases in Broward County because the board made that clear to the superintendent. You have to pay market rate or close to it for the properties because we are in need of money. So we then subsequently we received 3 or 4 more proposals, which is what we have, and we're encouraging anyone who wants to give proposals. So I want to just thank everyone for being here. It is such an honor to represent you, to continue to fight for you. This school district is a wonderful district. Regardless of what you may hear in the media and other places, this school district has made significant strides. We have become an A district consecutively. We have no D's or F schools. Our students are improving. We've reduced the number of C schools. We do have challenges, and we know we do as a board, and the rest of my board members, the other 8. Our goal is to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible so that this district can function efficiently. We have those challenges, but I don't think they're forever. And as we're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King, I have a dream, right? You talk about you have a dream, and I have a dream that our state will properly fund our school districts, that one day it will happen, and I have a dream that this district, Broward County, will be able to properly pay teachers, will be able to provide resources for our students when we are able to get proper funding. Immediately, we are responding by being fiscally responsible and making some changes. So I want you to support us. I want you to understand that everything you see in the media is necessarily completely true, and it's important that you meet with us and that we come out like this to share the information with you. So thank you for being here, and I will continue to serve you beyond to make sure that we're taking care of our kids and our families in Broward County schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Madam President, for facilitating. I know Pastor Green's still up there, and thank you for hosting, Pastor. Much appreciated. But like Dr. Holness said, we're doing amazing work academically for our kids, and I think it's impacting the kids the most who are in these areas who look like you and I for the most part. No DNF schools. As I said, when I walked in, we had about 12 or 13 DNF schools. We have higher graduation rates. Kids are having amazing outcomes, and all some of the other nuances in academics academics, what I call accelerated opportunities. And what that means is kids in middle school are taking high school classes and getting ahead, and kids in high school are taking college classes and are getting ahead. And a lot of free money is attached to that, right? If kids taking ACE courses, IB courses, AP courses, dual enrollment, they're getting scholarships from the state to go to a state university for free, right? So that's why this is compelling work for me to make a difference, because a lot of our kids have opportunity to go live their dreams out for free. And so we're trying to make sure we're doing the great work for our students. It's not the holding his head too. We have our challenges, and we acknowledge that. Our operational side of the house needs some work to run efficiently, to make sure our local vendors are getting their part of the pie when it comes to opportunities, and that we're not having unforced errors and getting in the way and creating more bureaucracy, which creates more mistakes. And so I think once that gets fixed, that's a huge win for the community too, because local vendors making money keeps that money in the local community, and that accelerates opportunities for community members too. So again, thanks for being here. Like I always tell the principals and my team, I am accountable to you. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to give feedback. For me, feedback is a gift. I do not get my feelings hurt if people don't realize that. The media is the media, the news is the news. I keep blinders on and focus on our primary purpose, and that's to make sure our kids have amazing opportunities and do amazing work. And feedback helps us get better quicker. If I don't know, I can't be the lever to change it quicker. And as you know, in my seat, oftentimes something's going on. By the time it gets to me, everything's perfect. It went well. And so I try to get my boots on the ground, and every Friday I try to go out to schools, visit schools, talk to kids, talk to teachers, talk to custodians, talk to bus drivers to see what's really going on, so we can make quick changes as quick as possible, so everybody can have a good working experience and our kids can have better learning outcomes. So thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, Madam President, to be here, and I'm always accessible as well.
Thank you. Pastor, if you'll come down. Pastor Trey? Okay. All right. We are going to, who do we ask? How about you, Jazz? You like to pray stuff, right? Give us a closing prayer. You don't feel like it? I think that was perfect. You can take this one.
Please join me in prayer, if we can bow our heads. Father God, we come to you and we thank you, Lord, for the information that we have received, for the knowledge that we have gained, and for the challenges that we are truly aware of now, that we can all join together, unite, and move forward for what is best for our communities and our children. Lord, we thank you for getting us here safely, and we trust that you will get us back to our safe places at home. In the name of Jesus, we ask for these blessings and for a very good night for all who have participated with us. Thank you, Lord, for the NAACP. And thank you for the gentlemen who have shared their knowledge with us. Bless our president, and as we leave, let us leave united for our children and our community. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you, everyone.